Hello, everyone, and welcome to South Asian Artists in Conversation with SD Talents, Suzanna Dhawan, who is an agent. Thank you so much for joining me in conversation today, Susanna. Um, if you could just tell everyone who you are and what you do, and also where you're based as well.
Yeah, of course. Well, thank you for having me. It's always nice to just take a calm moment and have a bit of a chat. So that's nice. My name's Suzanna Dhawan. I run SD Talent Management. We are an agency that is based in Manchester and London, and we also have a couple of artists that are based in the US. So quite general.
Okay, amazing. And I forgot to mention we've both got our chai at the ready as well.
Yeah.
Got my chai wala. Always have to have the chai ready when you're having a nice chat.
Absolutely.
And what was it that made you think, okay, I want to become an agent? How did you actually get into it?
Well, I've
Hmm.
always loved the arts, always. From being very young, my mother always had me doing some kind of dance or drama activities. And then as I got a little bit older, I studied theatre studies and performing arts and loved that. Um, and then I think there was quite a big stepping stone for me when my brother Sasha had asked me to join him in LA and to manage him and support him. And I think that's kind of where it all really started to kind of, it got the ball rolling and the conversations going. And as well as looking after him, I had the opportunity to work in the music industry over in LA as well. So I got this really, interesting, varied opinion and viewpoint of the industry and how it looked at that moment. And I loved it. And I think everything after that, when I came back to the UK, it kind of just escalated from there, really.
And how was it managing Sasha? And was it that you started off first and then that got him into it, or you both kind of went into
No, well, actually, it's all thanks to my mother, really.
it?
Sasha
Okay.
started off very young, and both Sasha and I, and actually my other sister Simi, my mother put us in for an audition that had come through the paper or something, and we all went for this open day. And as soon as we got there, my sister instantly froze and said, "Actually, this isn't for me. I don't want to do it." So she was kind of taken out of the mix, and my brother and I went in. Sasha's life kind of went one way, mine went the other, and I was called in for a couple of auditions. I actually went up with Shobna Galati for Dinner Ladies.
Oh, amazing.
So, I was kind of looking at being in front of the screen, but truly for me, as time went on, I just felt more comfortable and it just seemed more organic for me to be behind the cameras and behind the scene. And I guess managing just kind of came into it when your brother's young and you're watching him on TV and you're wanting to advise him or tell him you're a little bit out of character there or you can't help it. It's an organic feeling, like we were just carried into the arts with him, really. And like I said, then when I got to LA, that was really where I made it my own. And I thought, right, I'm here. And as well as looking after Sasha, I really need to go out and I need to explore and create my own identity and have my own experiences. And there you go. And it just happened to be that management seemed to be where I fit best.
Yeah, and I think that's nice that it kind of runs in the families, because what I find with kind of a lot of South Asian creatives, it's not all the time, but they're kind of the only one. So it must have been nice for all of you kind of just to have each other's back in that sense.
Well, do you know, we're a very entertaining family. So my dad is passionate about Elvis and actually sings Elvis really well, really well. And
Nice.
so he's always been performing at family functions and, community weddings and things like that. My mother, again, an exceptional singer, but in Bollywood. And actually, my mom sang professionally when she was younger. And then, so, she's always been into the arts. My sister, who is in a corporate capacity, actually also has an incredible voice. So between us all, we are creative. So, we're quite an entertaining family.
And it must be nice to for your parents as well to sort of continue that creative tradition down the line.
Yeah, totally. I think it's nice for them to just watch their kids kind of heading into the industry and seeing all the changes and everything that's happening. So yeah, I think, we celebrate each other's wins, which is nice.
Yeah, I know, of course. I think it's important to do. And in terms of SD talent
Mhm.
itself, how did that come about, and what was the creation behind that?
I think, you know, my mother had actually been saying to me for years, you just need to set up on your own. Like you've got a knack for this. You know, your gut is very good in making decisions. You're very supportive of your brother. You should do it for other people. And I think, you know, that was kind of stuck in the back of my head for a long time. And when I came back from LA, in my head, I thought, I want to go into casting. I actually wanted to be a casting director. And and that really didn't flourish. And I then went into event producing and, you know, and again, always guiding friends and family and giving them advice. And then in the end, I just thought, if I want to be the agent that I want to be, and I want to help people the way I want to do it, I'm going to have to bite the bullet and I'm going to have to set up SD Talent. And that's exactly what I did.
And was it sort of hard knowing where to kind of start with it all, or you had some kind of insight into how it all sort of works? Was it finding?
Um, do you know what? There was just this really big, you know, fire in my stomach, I think, that was like, you know what, just bite the bullet and go for it. I knew a handful of actors. A couple of my personal friends were actors, and they'd always said to me, if you set up on your own, we're coming, you
Mhm.
know. So that was always nice. But it was just a great opportunity for me to physically go out and meet actors, but with a very different head to say, okay, let's go on a journey together. How can I help you? You know. So it felt very organic.
Yeah.
But I do still pinch myself, you know, we're heading towards being 6 years old now, and I do still pinch myself, and I can't believe that, you know, I have some of the most incredible talent, and we've been on some of the most amazing journeys, and
And
you know, it is what it is. So
always nice to compare kind of where you started off to how it's kind of flourished to what it is now.
absolutely.
And what obviously for creatives, every day is completely different. But I guess for those who don't really know, what would you say life or a typical day is like as an agent? It's a hard one to
Uh,
answer because I know it's different, but like,
it's busy. Like it's always busy. There's always something to do. It's so varied, from looking at breakdowns to handling auditions or self tapes to reading scripts to responding to emails to making phone calls and pushes and pushing your artists to then realizing it's 4 o'clock and you've not had lunch and you're like, okay, I need to eat something, to then heading out the door and going, I need to go to an event, or I need to go to a press night, or there's a new theatre show I want to watch. Like you're always on the go. I think the best way to describe it is it's probably a real blend between admin, networking, selling, and negotiating. I think
mhm.
that's probably it in a nutshell, but it's busy.
That's a really good way to describe it, because I think a lot of people, I guess, who don't know may just think the agent's job is to be in the office and submitting the actors. But then like you mentioned as well, all the invites you get to shows as well to actually find actors and networking. I'm assuming that's quite a lot to balance into sort of one
It
week.
is. And you can't go to everything. Like you just can't,
Yeah.
you know, there has, you know, there just has to be a balance. I'm not very balanced at the moment, but there has to be a balance where you kind of go, okay, these take priority this month. You know, if there's press nights, if there's, you know, if there's shows that my artists are in, they have to take priority. But of course, if there are events like you know, recently I went to DAB and I went to London and I met some of the most incredible artists. You know, that was wonderful. And so if I can make time to do that and support and invest in our next generation, I'm totally going to do it.
And I suppose obviously week to week and wherever in the year can be different, because there can be high periods where you're getting loads of invites to shows and you're
Yeah,
getting loads of submissions in for your actors, and then I guess there's quieter weeks as well. So I'm assuming that's quite hard to navigate as well.
it is. It's really difficult. You don't know how your day's going to go. Like you just don't.
Yeah.
It's very hard to make personal plans, let me tell you.
Oh God, yeah. Just sometimes the whole thing about you don't know kind of what's to come. I think it has its negatives, but sometimes it's got positives, because I guess it's that exciting element. Oh, what email am I going to get? What event am I going to go to? So I think it's quite nice to sort of reframe that kind of unhidden anxiety.
Mm.
And what advice would you give to, first of all, someone who wants to become an agent but just doesn't know where to start?
Um, I think if you want to be an agent, you need to understand that it's a lifestyle, you know. The hours are long. I work most weekends. I
Mhm.
work, you know, late at night. Sometimes when, you know, when my household have gone to bed, I'm still working. I'm still at the desk doing what I need to do. Um, I also think it's really important to know that you need a thick skin. You know,
Yeah,
you need a thick skin because you are going to hear no's way more than you're going to hear yeses. And that's just fact. That's just the way it goes. And I think some days that can get on top of you. You know, like as an example, I could call an artist because I have to deliver a rejection and I have to explain to them why they've not been given the job. Now, at that moment, it's heartbreaking for that artist. But what they don't realize is that I may have two or three other calls like that to make on that particular day.
yeah,
And that for me is heart-wrenching. You know, it really, those are the things that can really get to you. But then you've kind of got to pick yourself up, you've got to brush yourself off and go, okay, because you've got to be the best that you can be for each and every one of your artists every day. Do you know what I mean? So it's almost like you're having to therapize yourself all the
yeah,
time. Come on, let's go. Like, you know, we can keep going, we keep going, we keep stepping forward. And these are the words that I use a lot with my artists because 9 times out of 10, as well as saying it to them, I'm saying it to me,
yeah.
you know. Um, so I think, you know, I think if you're interested in being an agent, go for it. You know, there are so many actors out there that need good agents. They need people that are going to be their backbone and are going to support them. But just bear in mind that, you know, it's time consuming. Like you really, really have to invest in your artists. It's not going to happen overnight.
And
So I
I
hope.
No, that was a really important point, I think. I guess even a lot of actors may not think, I guess, the burden that agents face, because to one actor that could just be a no to them, but like you said, you may have to say multiple no's.
Oh,
And I guess
yeah.
it's kind of, you do have to have the thick skin, because I guess it's nothing personal. It's just it didn't work out for them at the end of the day, and you kind of
Um,
have to brush it off. And whilst it's a no for the actor, technically as an agency, it's a no for you as well. So it's because obviously you're representing them, and I think people don't see it like that. So I think it's really,
Absolutely.
really
And for each one, the journey's separate. You know, like
yeah,
one rejection could be we've done a self-tape and we just weren't shortlisted, we didn't get recalled, you know, fine. But another one could be on the other end of the scale where actually no, you've been called in a couple of times, you've met with the director, you know, you've possibly done a chemistry read. Like it could have gone to such a level, and then all
mhm,
of a sudden, last minute, for whatever reason, it's not happened.
yeah,
And that, you know, so actually emotionally, as an agent, you've been on that journey with your artist. You know,
yeah,
you've been like fighting all the way, you've been celebrating all the way, you've been air punching all the way, you know, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, and
yeah.
that you feel it, you know, you feel it.
Because it's kind of like a row of yeses to the next stage, and then it's ultimately a no.
But when the yeses come, there's
Yeah,
no
how's that?
feeling.
What, like, how is that?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Like sometimes I'll take a minute. Like if I get a phone call or an email, and they tell me that, you know, there's an offer coming through, I'll just take a minute and I'll take a breath and go, okay, you know, and then I'll pick up the phone and let the artist know as soon as I possibly can because they've probably been chasing me for an answer
Yeah.
anyway, and I'm like waiting by the phone. But it's always nice for me, like just before I pick up the phone to the artist, I will just take a moment,
Mhm.
just a moment, and it's almost like I'm just saying thank you to the universe and thank you to our industry because it's hard, isn't it? Like, you know, you want to appreciate every single yes. So
And when you, yeah, exactly, because like you say, you get so many no's. When you get that yes, it's the best feeling. And I guess for you as well, you hear back, so that's one level of joy. And then then telling your clients as well, that's like so much nicer for them to hear.
yeah.
And I guess my next question, moving on to actors, 'cause I think a lot of actors hear so many different advice from casting directors and agents. So from your perspective, what advice would you give to actors who are trying to get an agent, or generally just trying to market themselves as an actor?
Okay, so
I guess
first of
that's a do's
all,
and don'ts sort of thing. Like,
yeah, well, I think first of all, as an actor, be you.
mhm,
Don't think that you have to change or you have to give us something that you think we want to see or we want to hear. Be you, first and foremost. And then I think if you're going out and you're looking for an agent, honestly, take your time. Take your meetings. When you take your meetings, create a list of questions, ask all your questions. Because the truth is, the fit has to be right. It has to be right for both parties, the agent and the artist. Because if you think about it, you're going to be a team. You'd like to think that there's going to be some longevity in this, that you're going to start your career and you're going to get more and more successful and it's going to grow over the years. So you're going to be spending a lot of time with each other. So
yeah.
you have to be able to get on. You have to be able to have faith and confidence, in knowing that that agent is going to be doing the right job for you and doing the best that they can. But also from an agent's point of view, I need to make sure that actually when one of the artists is going into the room, they're kind of representing SD talent and the conversations I've had in the background about them. And so, it's teamwork. Um, so just the truth is, take your time. Don't feel like, oh, I have to be with this agency because so and so is, or I have to be here because they're based in a certain location. It's not about that. The fit has to be right for you. Remember who you are, believe in who you are, stick to your lane.
Mm-hmm.
And
I
I
think,
genuinely, genuinely mean that.
and I think, yeah, in terms of sort of the actor agent relationship, that's so important because you work for them as much as they work for you. So you have to make sure,
We're a team.
yeah,
We're a
and,
team. And the goal is the same, for each of my artists, I'm looking for their next job, their next job, their next job. We are creating a footpath that is taking them to being more and more successful and creating a long-term career.
mhm,
So they've got to have trust and faith in me. And sometimes you can have, uncomfortable conversations. There can be a moment where an artist might say, I don't think I want to do this job. I don't think it's for me. And the agent might turn around, and because strategically we're thinking long term or we're thinking about who's part of this production, we might be saying, no, trust us. You need to be doing this job. And I've never been one to force people to do anything they don't want to do, but I'm always very clear in saying, I think this is a good suggestion. I think that you should go for this. Um, so again, it's about trust. It's
yeah,
about, allowing me to guide you and trusting that.
and
Yeah.
having faith that your agent is doing the right thing for you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think you brought up something really nice because I have heard from other actors that when they've had valid reasons why they don't want to do a job and their agent has kind of been like, no, still do it. But I think from what you're saying, it's not like you're saying no, you're kind of saying why it will be good. And I think that's a good thing for an agent to do because it leaves the door open because it allows the actor, I guess, to reconsider their decision as opposed to saying, no, no, go for it. I think that's it's a healthy relationship.
Yeah.
And in terms of sort of actors emailing you, obviously not consistently, but how do you feel about actors just sending, here's my spotlight, here's my kind of show reel?
Do it. I'm never going to say no to that. I'd love to meet each and every single artist that comes my way. The truth is I can't. I'm only human. I do generally make an announcement on the socials and say when my books are open.
Okay.
And at that point, I'll try and see as many people as I can, or I'll try and respond to as many emails as I can. Sorry, that's my front door if you can
No,
hear
no, it's all good.
it. And so I don't mind people emailing me. I would just say, if you're going to email me, don't send me an email that's like 4 lines of, hi, this is me, here's my spotlight, can we have a chat? Show me some personality, like tell me something about yourself, make it personal, give me an opportunity to just get to know you a little bit on an email.
Yeah,
That's what I really enjoy.
especially with the amount of emails that yourself and other agents have coming in, you need to kind of have that USP and stand out from everyone else emailing. So
Yeah.
it's always good to have something kind of personal. And in terms of, this is a question I remember when I think agents and casting directors are doing loads of Zoom sessions. I found this a really interesting question. So, what do you wish people knew more about working in the creative industry and what it's actually like compared to, I guess, the glamour that we all see? What's a hidden thing that you're like, I wish everyone knew this?
Oh, well, okay. Well, first of all, there isn't that much glamour. It's a bloody slog. Sorry to use that word, but
No, no.
there's very little glamour. It's probably only 5% of it, really. What do I think you need to know? Do you know what? I think sometimes for agents, I think it can get lonely.
Okay.
And I say that because agents are bound by confidentiality, whether that be with our artists, with productions, etc. And so actually there's so much that we just can't talk about. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Of
so
course.
there could be something really exciting happening, or you could be really proud of one of your artists. They've just taken a leap and you can't talk about it. You just have
Yeah.
to keep quiet.
NDAs.
And
Yeah.
I think for that reason that, that can be quite hard, we had an artist recently who was on a really well-known BBC show, and from filming it, we couldn't talk about it for almost 2 years until it aired.
That's a long time.
So even for him, he was just like, people like, so what have you been up to? He's like, yeah, stuff.
Yeah.
And then he would call me, he'd be like, can we just talk about it, me and you, for a minute? And I'd be like, okay.
Please, like, finally.
Yeah, because you can't. So I think in that respect,
Mm.
sometimes that you can feel quite insulated, like it's like everything's quite, quite quiet. But and it happens for a reason, and we get it.
Yeah, it
Um,
might feel like you're kind of hiding. It's like you're hiding something that everyone needs to know, but obviously for confidentiality, you can't spill the giant.
yeah, and I think, for me, I think that's quite difficult because I'm the kind of person that, when we win something, like I just want to shout it from the rooftops, and I want everyone to know how proud I am of my artist and the journey we've been on. But instead, we just have to be quiet.
Yeah, and I guess also making sure you don't accidentally in conversation say
Yeah, well,
something as well.
you can't.
That's
Yeah,
not good.
absolutely.
You can't do that.
What else though? I think, do you know what I would like? I don't know if this exactly answers your question or not, but I would really like all of us in the industry, so from whichever corner we're in and whatever we're doing, I'd like us all to experience what each other do.
I would.
I'd really like us to understand the hurdles and the hardships and the responsibilities and the pressures that each and everyone has. Because I think sometimes we don't, and that can get lost in translation. Um, in a very simple level, truthfully, do artists know what their agents are doing every minute of every day? Do they know how we fight for them? Do they know that sometimes I feel like I'm selling my soul,
Yeah.
trying to get them in that room or trying to get a tape, That's one thing. But then, another example is, you know, from a producer to a line producer, where does the responsibility stop and where does it start again? Are the moments that you share? Like, I just think if we were able to understand what we all do, I think conversations would be easier. There would be this beautiful mutual respect for one another, which I think we all do have.
Yeah.
But sometimes we're so lost in fighting our own corner and just trying to make things happen that sometimes we forget that actually they might be hounding us because they've got their own issues going on and we need to be respectful of that. But if we were able to understand the process all the way through, conversations would be better, the process would be, you'd like to think, easier. I don't know, we say that knowledge is power, and I think
Yeah.
maybe if we could have more of that in our industry, I think that would be really nice.
Set it up. That and honestly sounds like an incredible. It's kind of like a taster taste a day. I think that will be a brilliant thing where you just get to have conversations, but also just see it from the other person's perspective.
Yeah.
I think that will make us understand each other more, because I guess for actors, say if it's been quite a quiet period where they're not hearing for their agent,
Yeah.
actors can get into things like, oh, they're not putting me up for anything, and it's just like that's not true, because they might be. Obviously, you just might not be hearing if you can't
Yeah.
see submissions list as well. So you know,
And it, and that, for me on a personal level would be great. Like I'd love to know at that moment, let's say I've just sent my first email in and I'm pushing an artist. What happens to that email? Who sees it first and where does it go? How far up the ladder does it go? Like with certain offices, I know the route, I know what I need to do, I know I can pick up the phone. Sometimes with newer offices or offices you don't work with all the time, it's like I'd love to be a fly on the wall and
yeah.
follow that journey, you know, just so that we get an understanding of how to better communicate our needs, because that's the most important thing. So,
That's actually brought up another question, which I'm interested to hear. So, I guess with some productions, the casting director only goes so far as opposed to the first audition. And I actually worked on a film recently, and I think it was quite rare that the casting director, she was actually on a lot of the actual shoots. And she basically was saying that once the casting it's done, then they kind of move on. So I think that was really nice. She got to do that. So in terms of for you, have you felt that there's different levels to where I guess they stop using the casting director?
I think that's very personal to the casting director and the relationship they have with production,
Okay, yeah.
and how invested they are. I do know of productions where casting directors have actually gone out onto set and they've met, the castmates that they've brought onto the team, and I think that's lovely. As agents, we love that. We all want to be out there. Nobody wants to be a glorified secretary sitting
Yeah,
at
yeah.
the desk typing away. We all want to be out there. So if the casting directors get the opportunity to do that, or they choose to do that, good for them. I think, there should be more of that.
And it's nice because they're the ones who have casted them to
Mm,
actually be on set. Because it's like, again, it's probably a lonely feeling where, okay, the project's done, you move on to the next one, and it's you want to see where that actor kind of gets to. So
mm,
it's always nice. And kind of moving on to representation now. What, from your perspective as an agent, what are your thoughts on representations? Obviously, I kind of mentioned, when it comes to casting breakdowns, who's being
mhm.
seen, or any other thoughts you have on that.
Okay.
It's quite a
Well,
broad question, so just answer it however you feel.
yeah, I think representation's an interesting one. I mean, truthfully, how many people know that I'm South Asian? Like, I don't know. I mean, I guess that there'll be more that know now, but um, I think being a South Asian agent in this industry right now, I think it's really important that agents have a fully blended roster. I think that's really important because it pretty much starts with us. Like, we're the agents, we're the ones who want to introduce our talent. We want to introduce and, well, not only introduce, we want to create awareness of who is available, whether that's within ethnicity or what, we want to tell you who we've got.
Yeah,
And we want to comfortably create work and give work to everyone. That's our job. I think you mentioned breakdowns. I think when it comes to breakdowns, generally they look better.
hmm,
I think that's my overall opinion. They look better. We
yeah.
live in a we live in a multicultural world, and so it's important that we see those kind of castings, and I think that they're coming through. Could we see more? Could we do more? Yes, possibly, but the
Yeah.
change is happening, and so for that, I'm really happy with it.
And I guess when you first started out as an agent to now, have you kind of seen that change in the breakdowns, and I guess how inclusive they've become?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think everyone's listening from all our mainstreams, like, when we're looking at, whether it be Spotlight or casting networks or, Breakdown Express, whoever it may be, like, um, yes, I think you are seeing more of that. But then at the same time, there's more work being created,
Of course, yeah,
isn't there? So, and that's what we want. We want the opportunity to tell stories, multicultural stories. And for that, we need those multicultural artists,
of course.
you know.
Yeah.
So it is happening and it's great. It's great.
And I think there's also more of us as well. And I think I was having a conversation, I think it was with Suraj Shah, who runs Dab, the other week, and I was saying I stumbled across this platform called We Are New Young Blood. Shout out to them, and it's basically a kind of platform for the next generation of South Asian creators. And I was saying that I think people's families are becoming more open-minded to the idea of their child becoming an actor or working in the creative industry. And I guess a lot of that is because we are seeing more of us, so it's opening
Yeah.
that, so
I mean, we laugh in my household because I actually remember saying to my dad, I want to be an actress. Like I want to go to drama school. And my dad was like, there's no money in drama. There's no money in drama. So just come work with me, you know? And it was kind of like a flippant comment. And then you kind of meet like 8 years down the line. And then my brother becomes a child actor and has actually, you know, successfully established himself, yeah, in the industry. And it makes me laugh. It is a generational thing. But
yeah,
I think also culturally, because exactly like you've just said, you can see more movement and more change, and it's happening. Everyone's kind of, you know, coming to terms with it, going, oh, okay, so, you know, my son can be an actor and my daughter can be a singer, and, you know, and my cousin can be a ballerina. Like it's brilliant. It's just brilliant.
and if you like, back in the day, if you don't see it, then obviously you're going to think, how is it a thing? But then when you are seeing it, you're like, well, anyone can kind of do it. And it was interesting you said, obviously, you don't know how many people know that you're South Asian. And I think when I was looking in, I don't think there are many South Asian agents.
Um,
Stumbled across a couple of others. I just thought that's a really, really interesting point to have made.
yeah.
And I guess in terms of who's being seen for roles as well, even myself, I'm being seen for more, I guess, less stereotypical roles, and where, the ethnicity and race isn't centric to the character.
Mhm.
And I have got a lot of roles where it's about her being Indian or Pakistani. So it's
Mhm.
really refreshing to get roles that aren't specifically, about the race. Are you kind of seeing that as well? That where you're seeing more roles where race necessarily doesn't matter, and it's not about her being brown, kind of thing.
Um,
Mhm.
yes and no.
Yeah. Okay.
You
Yeah.
know, like I think I kind of sit in the middle on that, where I think we can do better,
Yeah. Of course.
you know, but I'm still a great believer that small steps is better than no steps, you know. So we're getting there and we're moving, but I do think that we've still got some places to go, you know, to make
Yeah.
that right, you know. So
Yeah. It's getting there. It's just taking
yeah.
its time. um. Okay. And is is there anything? I guess you may have mentioned this, but if there's anything you want to add, is there anything you wish the industry as a whole could be doing more of to ensure fair representation?
Do you know, for me, it's not so much about fair representation.
Hmm.
Um, it's about honest representation,
Yeah.
you know, um, especially when it comes to cultural stories. And I think, as an example, you know, if there is a show that's focusing quite heavily on, you know, the Punjabi culture, let's say, then I think first and foremost, make sure that at least one of the writers is Punjabi, you
Yeah.
know. And then when you're kind of coming down the line and then it comes to the actors, meet Punjabi actors and cast the net wider.
Hmm.
You know, we don't just need to be looking in a particular area. There are actors of all cultures all over this country of ours, all over, you know. So I think it's just, I kind of just feel that with every project that we do, it's an opportunity to meet new faces
Yeah.
in every department,
Of course.
not just, you know, those that are on the screen, but in every department. I think that for fair and honest representation, we want to be entertaining, but actually at the same time, it's an opportunity to educate. So why
Yeah,
not do that?
of
You know,
course. And
that's
a lot of the time it is, behind the scenes and the teams behind the scenes that's lacking that representation. And if it's there behind the scenes, then it's going to be more honest in front of the scenes.
absolutely, it goes without saying, you need the right people to be there for it to be authentic, for it to be factually correct. It's so important. It's so
Yeah.
important.
And I guess, if there's people who, for example, being South Asian, if they're not enough of them behind the scenes, I guess I always say at least do the research or speak to people within that community just to make
Yeah,
sure telling it authentic.
absolutely.
Because I personally don't think you have to be South Asian behind the team to tell the South Asian story, but at least do your research and know what you're talking about. Know
Yeah,
what
and do you know what? Don't get me wrong. This isn't me saying to the industry, you're not doing that. I know that's happening. I know that we've got good, honest, and solid productions out there that are happening because they've got the right people in place. But it's just an opinion that for me, moving forward, that's how it should always be.
yeah.
Like that's just how I feel.
And do you think that there is just not enough of us behind the scenes in terms of people who are actually applying to be in those positions, or it,
I don't believe so. I think there's probably a lot of people that don't have the experience yet. So let's give them the experience. Let's create opportunities for them. Let's help them grow. Like I said, for me, I'm always about the next generation. In order for our industry to maintain being stronger and being healthy, it's this generation. We need to invest in people now. We need to invest in them properly. We need to have a nice foundation for them so that they can grow. And as they build more and more knowledge, it's something that they can share. And I think that's important.
no, definitely. And I've just thought of something else actually, is kind of going back to kind of casting breakdowns. I've seen a few conversations where I think sometimes there's been announcements where the race isn't specified and it's open to
Mm.
all. And I think a lot of people from global majority backgrounds haven't applied because it's not specified. And I think that's still an
Yeah.
interesting conversation to happen. And I've always hear if it's not specified, then anyone can apply. Would you
I
say would you?
I happen to agree with that
Yeah.
personally. I think that if you can deliver the role, you should be able to be given a chance to do it. I think if it's specific, like it's an already established family in a soap and they of a particular, culture or heritage, then clearly you'll use your common sense and go, okay, maybe it's not right for everyone. But
Yeah.
I think if they don't specify it, as far as I'm concerned, even when I'm reading the briefs, I will look through my roster and immediately know who I think can do that job,
Mhm.
regardless of how they look.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I think that's a good way to see it, because I think I can get why people might be put off, but then it's like if they've not specified it, it could be for a reason where they're just quite open to seeing who.
seeing who can deliver it best, and
Yeah,
that's what it
exactly,
should
the
be.
best person for the
Yeah.
role, I guess. Yeah. And what would you say is some of the highlights or the best things about what you do as an agent?
Oh, um, the best thing. Oh God, I hope this doesn't sound like cheesy now. Truly, for me, the best thing are the artists. I'm genuinely going to give a big shout out to my own because I adore each and every one of them. But genuinely, all artists, I feel so lucky to have met so many artists. I feel so lucky to have watched so many artists. Like even now, sometimes I'll get self tapes through from my own, and I'm just like, oh my God, I'm watching you in your rawest state first, and then I'm going to send it on. Like, what
Mhm.
an honor that is, for you to be an artist and to do a self tape, which we know the world is there a lot at the moment. A self tape is a really hard thing to do.
Yeah.
it's really hard to kind of get yourself into that mood, to be able to deliver the lines, to be able to create the environment and have someone watch you and hopefully within 30 seconds go, you're the one. You know, it's a really hard thing to do. So for me, honestly, the amount of artists that I've met and God willing continue to meet, for me, is completely what makes this industry so brilliant for me. It's what I love. We have such talented human beings,
Mhm.
and I hope everybody gets a chance to just showcase it and you know and celebrate their wins. I really do.
No, I wish there was like multiple opportunities for all of us.
Mm,
Obviously, there's more actors than there are jobs, and that's obviously an unfortunate thing that we all have to face in this industry. And do you sort of tend to, I guess, before sending off tapes to the directors, do you always like to watch the tape before? Obviously, if you've got
absolutely, without a doubt.
Mhm.
Without a doubt.
Yeah,
And depending on what it is, like I have a very personal relationship with all of my artists. So sometimes we will tape together or we will tape a bit earlier than the deadline and watch it back. I'll feed back notes and we'll go again. Like we'll just make sure that as a team, we are comfortable and confident with what we're sending in.
because you
Yeah.
want to put, I guess, the best version of your client out there.
Yeah. Well,
Obviously,
I want to give them the opportunity to share their own interpretation because that's really important. But just occasionally, because there's no right and there's no wrong, we don't know. Even from the casting director to the director, there could be a difference in how they view a role. And, you know, so I always want to make sure that their interpretation gets across. But just occasionally, if I've read something and I feel strongly that we could maybe add something to it or you know, turn it on its head a little bit and put a bit of a spin on something and kind of send like a wild card interpretation, we're going to do that as well.
and that's an added interpretation, I guess, that you have as an agent that the actor might not have thought about. So it's always good, I think, when you get that feedback.
Mm,
Okay, and just to end off the main part of this, you touched on it briefly, but if anyone wants to be represented by
yeah.
SC Talent, what should they do?
The best thing to do is to email our representation email. So that's representation@sdtalent.co.uk. Send me your spotlight. If you don't have spotlight, send me at least two contrasting scenes, which you can film on your phone. There's no pressure, but just so I can get a good understanding of your range and what you're offering. And also, as it stands at the moment, I will be opening my books in September, and I will specifically be looking for diverse talent, so those in the South and East Asian sectors, and also anyone who is in musical theatre. So those are things that I'm going to be focusing on primarily from September. So if that fits the bill and you enjoyed my waffle today, then please do get in touch and we'll set up a meeting.
No, it was amazing waffle. It was I think actors and just the industry can learn a lot, I guess, from your perspective working
Thank you.
as an agent and on the other side. And
Thank
that's
you.
really great. I think that'll be exciting for a lot of actors looking for rep in September. So keep an eye on that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're going to move on to just some random fire round questions.
Oh goodness, yeah.
um, to be fair, you might have answered this, but when you were younger, what did you
Yeah.
do when you were older?
So, sorry, you broke up then.
Oh, sorry. So when you were younger, what did you want to be when you're older?
Oh, so when I was younger, I actually wanted to be a barrister.
Phew.
Yeah, I did. I wanted to go into law, but I actually think that was all the drama in me. I grew up watching loads of Bollywood movies, and I kind of just remember scenes of court scenes and everything being dramatic, and I think I just wanted to do that.
I
So.
love that. And then it completely different career. Okay. What is one of your all-time favorite films?
All-time favorite films.
I'll do
Oh.
one Bollywood and one
Ooh,
non-Bollywood.
right. So Bollywood's actually quite easy. So there's a film called Ali Baba Jali Jor
Okay.
with Hema Malini and Dharmendra, and I just used to watch that movie on repeat. Like the moment it stopped, I would rewind it because it was video, and I would put it back on again. And I just loved it. I loved everything about it. So yeah, so that's my Bollywood go-to. And then, God, it's so hard, isn't it, on films? I am a massive fan of the Godfather trilogy.
Nice.
I love, I love Al Pacino. Again, I love the cultural aspect of it, even though it's a gangster film, the cultural aspect and how it actually involved a lot of food and how it involved men cooking the food. Like there was just so many aspects of that
Mhm.
I just seem to love. But yeah, I would probably say if I had to watch any English speaking movie right now, I'd go straight to The Godfather.
It's a classic, isn't it? Yeah.
Mm.
That's with Bollywood. Have you ever got to send anyone out to Bollywood, or was that a whole different?
We've actually had we've had one of our artists do a Bollywood film, and believe it or not, he's French. But
Okay.
yeah, it was a very small role, but he played a guard and part of the border control scene or
Hmm.
something. So yeah, so he filmed on a Bollywood shoot for 4 days. So yeah.
Nice, nice. Okay, sweets or chocolate?
Oh, chocolate.
Same. Okay, favorite type of tea?
Tea.
Yeah.
Um, I would probably say English breakfast, but not black, but with half a spoon of milk. You know how Indians say half,
Um,
I say half spoon of milk in my really well
okay.
brewed
You,
English breakfast tea.
you like quite a strong.
Yeah.
And one which I like to end off each chat with is if you could give some advice to your younger self, what would that be?
Believe in yourself. Don't waste time. If you feel it and you want to do it, go for it.
Fabulous. That was a really, really good one to end on. Again, Susanna, thank you so much for joining me today with some joy in conversation and sharing all of
Thank
this.
you. Honestly, thank you so much for inviting me. It's been a really lovely afternoon. Thank you.
No problem at all. It's been really lovely chatting with you. And we've got some more exciting guests coming up, so I will announce them and I'll let everyone know when this chat will be out as well. Thank you so much, Susanna.
No worries.